30 seconds to countdown. Standing by for an altitude. 60 seconds good. Sound is good. Stand by for the countdown.
W55.
5, 4, 3.
Good afternoon everybody and welcome to Safari TV and our afternoon safari. I thought we'd come and catch up on what the lions are doing. It looks like they're doing what lions do best, which is sleeping. Hi everybody, my name's Tara. I'm going to be your guide for the next 3 hours, and joining me on the Gunda this afternoon is Alex, so hopefully we're going to get some wonderful shots for you. And back in Final Control, Kath is there to forward through any information or any emails that you'd like to send questions in. And if you'd like to do that, then send them through to finalcontrol@safari.tv, and we'll be able to answer them in real time, any questions that you have. As I say, any information is always welcome as well, and especially if there's some interesting information on anything that we see or anything that might be happening. So definitely send some questions or information through. I thought, as I say, we'd see if we can catch up with the lions. And I think the guys were here just a little bit earlier, and they were actually eating, which is quite a surprise to me, because it's very, very hot at the moment. I wouldn't have expected them to be around. I came through just before I dropped Patrick Benson off at the gate, just to kind of have a look and see if there's any vultures around. And all we found was a black-backed jackal. It's still very nice. We don't really see them very often here. I think I've seen 2 here now, including that one. So I'm hoping to put up the pictures on Facebook so you'll be able to see them. But other than that, there's no vulture activity, and Patrick was actually telling me that it's because it's in an awkward place. So they actually prefer the carcass to be out in the open, because if they do have any lions or hyenas, they can be killed by them. So they're more likely to go for carcasses out in the open, so they can actually get away a lot more easily than if it's like here in the thick bush. So that's obviously why I'm not seeing as many vultures at the moment. But there was certainly 1 or 2 that came down yesterday morning. But they didn't stick around. There's a couple of hooded vultures and 1 white-backed vulture. They made their way off, and there was also a batelier that flew over while we were here. But that's also decided not to come down and settle. Okay, for anybody that did miss all the greetings, my name's Tara, and Alex is joining me on the Gunda on the camera, and Kath is back in Final Control. And in case you missed the email address to send any questions or information through, then send it through to finalcontrol@safari.tv. So I think we're going to let sleeping lions lie and have a bit of a drive around, and maybe come back a little bit later when it cools off a bit, and hopefully we might see them feeding on the carcass again. But for the time being, as I say, this is the best view we have of the lions. Still the 2, and it seems to be everyone's confirming that they are 2 from the Unkahuma pride. I haven't been able to find out who the other 2 males that we saw on Cheetah Cookline a couple of days ago are. But so with the big fluffy round faces, I thought they could also have been from the Unkahumas. And then, as I say, when we found these 2, I got very confused. Because there's only 3 males in the Unkahuma pride, and I remember the one that was bringing down the buffalo with the other females a little while ago, about 4 weeks ago now. He did have a limp, and I did wonder if it was the same male. To say that the mane wasn't right really for the golf course male, and he did look a little bit too young for the golf course male, but I wasn't ruling it out. But it does go to show that it is the Unkahuma male, and this is obviously his brother. But the other 2, I'm not too sure who they are, and the other male, who is part of the Unkahuma pride, he may be with the females further north still. But these 2 look old enough that they are starting to break away from the pride. Let's say about 2.5, 3 years old, they generally are. Research is Graham actually working on? You haven't heard much about it. He's actually just studying them, Janet, just studying their behaviour, studying the interactions. And at the moment I know he's been writing a book about the leopard he used to look after. But I think he probably will try and publish something about the baboons at some stage. And as I say, when he was on the fireside chat with us, and he was saying when there was actually a few more male baboons, they were all pairing off, and it's not really known in baboon society to actually have that, because it's generally a small group of males who will be the leaders of the troop, and obviously they'll have different associations with different females. But because the troop was so small and they could all actually afford to pair off, he said he's never read anything like that in literature before, so he's actually seeing things with this troop that may never have been seen or documented before. So I think he's possibly going to write a book or something like that with the information in, but as a project goes, it's not really, it's more for interest rather than it being a project. But as I say, it's because he's been with them for 6 years and they've got to know him, then it's quite a valuable piece of research that he's doing, especially as Patrick was saying last night about the vultures, and because they're so long-lived, if you just study them for a couple of years, you may just get a snapshot of their life, but it's not the full scenario, so you may miss out on what's going on as they get older or when they're younger or whatever. And I think it could be the same for baboons. Okay, I think we're going to continue on. So the fact that he's been studying them for six years, and as I say, actually studied the politics and studied the movements, it's certainly quite interesting. Maybe at some stage I'll see if we can get him on for another fireside chat to see what the developments have been. The troops certainly seem to be a lot more relaxed. They seem to be almost back to normal. Is there any station with the Ingwe by Voyatella? So I got stuck with the Twene, just have a nice visual of them. I'm just by Gary down at the moment, and I'll still make my way there.
Yeah, 2 minutes. Just room 1. Check. Over road. Direct view.
Thank you. Wow, this is really awesome. They're just walking. Really not caring that they're next to them or anything. That is fantastic. Obviously, baboons can become very dangerous, and unfortunately it is humans that make them dangerous, because humans, when they start to feed them, baboons start to realise they can intimidate humans to get food out of them. And that's why there's such a big problem in Cape Town and those surrounding areas, because people have been feeding baboons, and now baboons will actually attack people to get food. Obviously found something quite interesting below the service there, but now the older baboon wants to have a go. So the troop went up to 16 and then have dropped back down to 13 again. With the other males moving off. I think Darth Vader, who is quite a large male, I think he got moved off. Tawny and another one. I think it's either Ed or Barry. Couple just keeping a watch. Okay. And if anybody wants to actually keep an update on what's going on with the Gary Gang, there is a Facebook page which you can follow up. So when Graham isn't driving guests, he goes out and watches the baboons, observes them. He usually does a blog about them, gives an update on them. And their movements. So if you would like to keep track of them, that's what you need to do, is go onto Facebook and type in Gary Gang. So taking Central, this is Gary Gang, just Gary Dam. Just to our left. We're now on a Ruby Road. If anybody's following us with the map. The water is starting to really recede back quite far now. There's still quite a lot of water at the moment. Maybe we should take that somewhere the first rains are going to be. When do you reckon, Alex? When do you reckon the first rains are going to be? When do you reckon the first rains are going to be? No clue. I forget, room 1's this side. Room 8. I did actually hear a monkey calling when I was chatting with some of you on the Wild Earth page. And I think I remember saying to somebody, oh, I can hear a monkey calling. And I wonder if that's when Induno was walking around. Was a monkey not